In our industry, we are faced with a lot of different circumstances that happen on a daily basis. You never know what you're going to get into, and that's one thing I actually like about the job. You're not sitting behind a desk and you're not an accountant and you're just crunching numbers every single day. In this industry, you never know who's the next person that's coming in and what's going to be your next story. So these are going to be the next 5 WTF moments we've had in valet parking with our company. Now, the first one happened some years ago, and this is actually when I was working. It was New Year's Eve, and one of the managers, I have to explain this restaurant and how this restaurant was set up. It was a restaurant downstairs, and it was a bar upstairs. And in this bar, they had live music. And a lot of times people would eat dinner downstairs and then go upstairs with their girlfriends or wives or whatever and just enjoy some music. But needless to say, a lot of people drank too much, and there was always some situation. Now, I would like to think this is isolated to strictly just the customers, but this was a case where the manager of the restaurant also got drunk and later terminated. But still, they got too comfortable upstairs in the bar, talking, drinking, listening to music, and it turned into a fight on New Year's Eve, and the manager and a customer started rumbling. Now, mind you, the manager is wearing a tuxedo because he's kind of like a host or a maitre d', so he's guiding everybody in and welcoming them to the restaurant. But they got into a fight, and the fight ended up coming out into the parking lot. But before it did, they literally fell down the stairs. It was a very narrow stairs. Imagine old attics of your grandma or something like that. So it's narrow stairs that go up to the attic. And they came rolling down the stairs and tumbling almost out the front door. And they started fighting there, and other people got in the way, got in the middle of it. But that was a pretty crazy thing on New Year's Eve. We know alcohol was definitely talking on that one. So this next story happened a couple of months ago, actually. This was a situation where we got a phone call from a lady in a Nissan Maxima, I believe maybe 2015, 2016. She says she cannot find her key. She was able to get in her car and drive home when the valet pulled it up, but when she got there, when she got home, she couldn't find her key. And this happens sometimes. The protocol is either we put it in the customer's hand or we put it in a cup holder. I mean the proximity key. And the valet, that's generally usual procedure. It's usually 99% in a cup holder. But if something happens, I tell them, please check on the side of your seats, check behind your seats, check all around, whatever the case is, the key's in it. Because the way we test and determine that, if you turn off the car with the push button, are you able to start it back up? If you are able to start it back up, that means the key's in the car, and it's usually within 24 inches of that ignition. So you just need to search really well. It shouldn't be too difficult. A lot of times it just falls on the floor in between the seats, and you can check it out that way. A lot of times also this happens at nighttime. So I tell them in the morning when you have a lot of daylight, just check around the car properly and you'll usually find it. Well, she did, and she said she couldn't find it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, take it back to the restaurant. Let the valet look around it too. So the valet went, checked it, and really didn't see anything. So I'm starting to get a little upset with this. And she's really getting difficult, but yet she can still start the car and stop it. So she now feels like there's a security issue, which absolutely there is, because anywhere she parks, someone can hop in their car and start it up and leave. Now, here's another thing. If you have the key in the car, the other key, if you have it, won't let you lock the car. So the car will always stay open. That's kind of a security feature to make sure nobody locks their keys in the car accidentally. So she's really getting on us about, hey, there's a high security issue. Someone can steal my car and it's going to be your fault. And what do we say? It's not really our fault. I mean, the key's in the car somewhere. Go find it. So she says she wants to take it to the dealership now and get it fixed. And I know anytime anything goes to the dealership, it's $300 to $500 to fix it. So she's calling every day and she's really getting upset with me. And actually, I kind of lose my cool with this lady because I explained to her, what do you think our valets did? Get in the car and then throw the key and say good luck? It's in the car somewhere, and we usually put it in a cup holder. But this is kind of a weird situation. Back in the day, the key's in ignition, there's no question about it. But this one's rather difficult. So we then take I finally say, you know what, go to the dealership. How much is it going to cost? They said it should take an hour, about $150 an hour. I said, fine, find the key. So the dealership calls. They said, we ripped out the entire front seat, both front seats, pulls, carpet, everything. We cannot find this key. The bill's $215. So this lady's like, I'm not leaving until you pay the bill. So I said, I talked to the guy. I said, hey, we'll pay the bill. Just let her go, get the car and go. Later on that afternoon, the guy called me from the dealership and said, you know what? We're not going to charge you. That lady was a bitch, and she was very difficult. And whenever they see her come into the restaurant or come into the dealership, they absolutely hate her. They let everybody else touch her car. And on top of it, what he didn't, and this is the first time I'm learning this, her car is a pigsty. It is a mess. They cannot find anything anywhere in this car, and it's disgusting. It's literally disgusting, and we really didn't know what to do with this. So she's really upset. They still didn't find her key. Her key's still doing the same problem. So I have another old valet named Adam who actually works for now the Nissan dealership locally here in Cobb County. So I called Adam. I said, hey, here's the situation. He's like, no problem at all. We generally get this case a lot. It usually slides in some crazy spot. We'll find it. Don't worry, we won't charge you. So I tell this lady this, and then at the same time, it's kind of not vindication, but it makes me feel better that the other dealership's like, hey, you know what? We know you deal with a lot with this lady. She's such a whatever. We're not even going to put you through it. Good luck. We don't want to see her ever again. So it gets to the point where she's supposed to come in on a Saturday to go to the new dealership, and she never shows up. So I don't know if she ever found the key or whatever the case is, but we never heard from her again. And this was a huge WTF moment in the world of valet parking. Now, this story also happened to me. And mind you, this story happened a long time ago. Remember, I was a valet back in probably 1995, 96, somewhere in that area. So I valeted for quite a bit. And I valet parked, I think it was a Toyota Tacoma, Toyota Tundra, whatever it was. I parked the car, I pulled the key out, and I walked away. Well, this customer thought it would be pretty funny in the same restaurant that had the bar upstairs. He would sit upstairs in the bar and look out at me. So as soon as I cut off the car and walk away, the car would start again. I'm like, what in the world? So I go back in, I put the key in, I put it in the on position, turn it off, and then the car would shut off. I'd walk away again, and the car started. And I knew at this point something was up, but at that point, I had never seen remote start. And I think it might have been new, maybe not, I don't know what year remote starts came out, but this person was really effing with me. So I look up, and I could see in the bar, it's like three of the guys just laughing at me, pointing out, and I was really pissed off. At that point, I just let the car run. But they were able to just play a little joke on me doing the remote start. The next story is pretty interesting. In the world of valet parking, we talk about private parties all the time, and private parties usually get really rushed. And what I mean by rushed, we have a lot of people coming in and out of the restaurant or a private event at the same time. So a lot of times, I think this event had 4 lanes of traffic just pulling in. We have a team of maybe 20 valets, and each one's hopping in a car as the customers get out. And I'm the person that usually will ticket the car and give them the ticket and tell them to have a good time. This one time, it's very important, and this is any valet who's listening understands this. We have to remind the customers to put the car into drive. And this was actually on a little downslope too. So I gave the guy the ticket. As soon as he lets his foot off the brake, the car starts rolling. By this time, I'm in the front of the car because I'm going around to the other side to make sure the other passenger door is closed. And I have to jump on the hood because this guy's about to break my legs because he's not paying attention to what's going on. But luckily I was quick enough. Unfortunately, there's no video of that. I wish there was, but that was a quick moment where I had to jump on top of the car to make sure everything was safe. Now, this next story is very interesting. This is a story where we had a restaurant called Bar One. Bar One is no longer in business, but Bar One was owned by the husband of one of the Atlanta housewives. His name was Peter Thomas, and he had this thriving, chic restaurant here in Atlanta. His wife was a model, And in order for him to open his restaurant, he had a lot of investors. So he had a lot of investors from private people to all the way to artists. And one of the artists, his name was RL, and he's from a group, an RB group called Next. And he was very popular back in the mid 2000s. And he was one of the huge investors into this restaurant. So the restaurant's coming, it's the grand premiere, everything is good. My valets are out there, they're having an incredible time. And I get a phone call from one of my head valets. He's like, Alex, there's a fight, a huge fight out in the parking lot. I'm like, really, on the first day? That's pretty, I don't want to say ghetto, but that's pretty bad that they're getting in a fight. I'm like, who is it? He's like, it's the owner of the restaurant. I'm like, what? He's like, it's the owner of the restaurant and RL, the investor. They are physically getting in a fight with each other because RL was very pissed when he came in and walked through the front door. All he saw was a 12-foot photo of Peter's wife, Cynthia, but there was nothing in the entire restaurant with any of his gold records or platinum records, nothing, nor did he care to ask him to put it anywhere. So when he walked in and saw all these model pictures and nothing from him, and he was a huge investor, he got pissed. So he walked out. Peter chased after him, started slamming on the side of his Range Rover. RL got out of the car and they physically started fighting. So this was a mess on the first day of this restaurant opening. So it only gave us the idea of what this whole run was going to be like. So you'll hear in future stories at Bar 1, these are the different things that happen. So if you like these stories, please like, comment, and definitely share these moments with others and let them know what they say and throw a comment in the section and I'll definitely respond to you.